Namaste. Welcome to Akasavaartha, India's Simple Space Podcast. Welcome to the first episode of Akasavaartha Bi-Weekly. The goal behind this Akasavaartha Bi-Weekly is to bring you the latest updates from Indian Space Program and Indian Private Space Program. I use the word program because in the next few coming months and years, we are going to see an explosion in private sector's participation in Indian space ecosystem. But why the bi-weekly? As you all know, the information from Isro does trickle down at a bit of a slow pace. So in order to accommodate for more news, more big updates from private sector and Isro, I'm trying to do a bi-weekly episode, meaning every 2 weeks, one episode. I don't have to explain you the meaning of bi-weekly, but nonetheless, so Akasavaartha Bi-Weekly will be a regular component of Akasavaartha podcast. You are all aware that I'm doing a launch vehicle series. Right now, the Indian launch vehicle ecosystem is being studied. Next, we'll move on to another countries or other space agencies launch vehicle. But coming back to the Akasavaartha bi-weekly component as such, or bi-weekly series, from this week onwards, every 2 weeks we'll do a bi-weekly news update of Indian space ecosystem. So I'm really excited for this series or bi-weekly episodes. I intend to bring all the major updates in terms of Indian space program and Indian space ecosystem and any other special mentions regarding aviation and so on and so forth. So thank you for listening to this. Please tune in every 2 weeks once for the bi-weekly Akasavaartha bi-weekly episodes to catch up on all latest updates on Isro and other space companies. Indian ecosystem, that is. Moving on so let us begin. Moving on is the term that I use between articles, but nonetheless, let us begin the first episode of Akasavaartha Bi-Weekly with a good and an important update on Gaganyaan. So, recently, India Today published an article stating that according to their own sources, who are internal and integral to the Gaganyaan mission inside Isro, it seems that Gaganyaan mission is back on track. Isro is yet to take a final call on the uncrewed launch. The bottleneck or the speed bump in that decision making process seems to be the COVID-19 lockdown, because the decisions that are taken in terms of or in regards to Gaganyaan mission and the crewed or uncrewed launch missions is from Bangalore, and Bangalore is in currently a strict lockdown due to COVID-19 pandemic. Now, we know that Gaganyaan is the most ambitious project of Isro to send humans to space. Isro is yet to take a final call on the launch, particularly the uncrewed launch or the test launch as we call it, which from all indications will be likely in December of this year. Following assessments have to be reconsidered. A lot of things have to be reconsidered and reassigned or reworked or rejigged because of the lockdown in Bangalore. Once the lockdown in Bangalore is lifted, maybe few meetings will take place, few discussions would come about, and the wheels are set in motion so that the final decision as to when the first uncrewed launch of Gaganyaan will take place as such. According to the sources, to quote them directly here, it is going fine. COVID-19 lockdown has had an impact, but there is no delay as of now. And once that is the COVID-19 lockdown lifted, the teams will meet and assess the situation before taking a final call. That is a good news, right? It means that things are in motion and people are looking forward to the lifting of restrictions in Bangalore. According to the same source, a lot of people are involved in the Gaganyaan mission, and we need to assess all core sectors working on the mission when the lockdown is lifted. The lockdown has indeed led to only a small percentage of work being done due to remote operations. So it seems, and everybody is pretty well appraised by this point of now, that Gaganyaan mission faced the biggest of its roadblock in terms of COVID-19 pandemic. Now, we are about to see the Gaganyaan mission was set out to be a 3-stage project, right? Meaning we'll see 2 uncrewed launches or 2 uncrewed module launches before the astronauts get to ride the module. Currently, from my indications, the names, they are not going to release the names. That is pretty much clear. For whatever reasons, in a recent interview in Tarmac Media and my guru's channel, the chief of VSSC also said that they are not. There is unlikely chances that they are going to release the names of the astronauts that are training and completed their training in Russia. Vyomanauts. They are not. I'm pretty sure, and I'm not going to push anybody to give me the names also. But it looks like, from the best of the sources that I could access through internet and other sources, it seems that they are going to withhold those names till the nearing of the crewed mission or the crewed launch, as we know. Now, they are still undergoing their training in Russia, and they will be the first to reach the space from Indian soil, which is a proud moment for anybody. And like me, most of the space enthusiasts and Isro enthusiasts are really excited and hoping that the day is sooner than what we are hoping it to be. But we have to be patient, and we have to send our energies and whatever we believe in to these good people, so that they successfully complete their training and come back safely and sound. Now, officially, the uncrewed, the first one would be happening by the end of this year. That is given, because this was announced by our finance minister in the budget speech also, because she clearly indicated in the budget speech itself that the first unmanned launch will be slated for December of 2021. And I'm really excited for it. But from then on, it would be a race against the time, because it would give again an year or year and a half for Isro to come up with the second unmanned launch, which would put it in anywhere between 2022 and 2023. And from then on, after the success of these 2 missions, and after complete study of these 2 missions, and if in case any upgrades are needed for the module on the rocket itself, after those are being done, after a full-scale wet down of the entire project, reconsiderations, entire project has to be restudied again, and the full-scale awareness of the launch and the mission is attained, then only the full-scale crew launch will take place. Yeah, the COVID-19 pandemic has played a part in delaying many of the missions from all around space agencies all around the world. But particularly the one that took a hard hit, particularly the one that was hit hard was Isro. Because few days back we were seeing that the number of cases in Sriharikota and other Isro agencies, related agencies, were being affected highly during the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic. And Isro had deployed drones to deliver medicines to these people living in their quarters in Isro compounds. So Isro was pretty hard hit. Isro was pretty okay. I don't know why I'm struggling, but nonetheless, Isro faced the wrath of COVID-19 second wave, where many of its operations had to be subdued for short period of time. Now, what are the other missions? The other missions that I'm talking about is Aditya L1. We'll be talking about Aditya L1 because Aditya L1 is in again news because of the interesting thing that Isro is doing with data of Aditya L1, but that is coming next. And several other satellites have now been officially delayed. We don't know when the GSLV is going to take place. We don't know when the GSAT mission is going to be resumed. Few good people that I follow and few good space enthusiasts in India on Twitter are saying that the launch is sooner than expected. and we might see the new launch of MK2 very, very, very soon, but the date is not yet finalized, and it intends to carry a GSAT satellite for Navy. And the other most important thing that many of us are excited about, the small satellite launch vehicles, SSLV. The market itself is booming, and private companies are also stepping up to the plate, stepping up to the podium to capture the SSLV market, small satellite launch vehicle market. And yeah, Aditya L1, MK2, PSLV, C52 or C53, I don't know the name. Forgive me for forgetting the names. Those missions were delayed. Aditya L1 was one I was looking forward to. At least watch it in person from Sriharikota, but that is looking unlikely at this point of time. But nonetheless, COVID-19 had subdued or put Isro brought them down a notch in terms of their activity. So moving on to the next article, TBRL to conduct critical impact tests on Gaganyaan's crew module. In line with our discussion with Gaganyaan mission, TBRL stands for Terminal Ballistics Research Laboratory, has now officially joined hands with ISRO's Human Space Flight Center for conducting hypervelocity impact studies on Gaganyaan's crew module. So, when these tests are conducted, this will bring the crew module a step closer to launch, because the success of the module in this test depends whether the design that they have adopted for this crew module and the internal structure capabilities and so on and so forth for this crew module will withstand the impact of forces that they expect. And we know that a crew module experiences from its takeoff, launch to its being injected in the orbit and then re-entry aspect of the entire vehicle, because there are a lot of forces that are exerted on the module itself, both in terms of its liftoff and its re-entry aspect of the mission. Now, TBRL, which is a Defense Research and Development Organization establishment, is engaged in ballistic evaluation of missiles, warheads, explosives and other deadly projectiles. I use the deadly word here because they are deadly, man. Missiles, they kill people and they protect borders also. So it's a balance of both. They intend to test material specimens against micrometeoroid and orbital debris that are found in space. I think there was an interesting seminar on space debris recently that I was hoping that I could attend, but sadly I couldn't, even though I registered, but I couldn't. I sincerely hope I could find that video. But coming back to the topic, these tests will protect our Vyomanauts in the future against micrometeoroid and orbital debris impact on the vehicle itself. So what did I say about the exerted pressures? Yeah, again, those things are also will be tested, so I'm not lying here. Maybe I don't know. So okay, coming back to the topic, I'm not diverting again. So Gaganyaan will be back on track, or will be a step closer if the Gaganyaan crew module will if the Gaganyaan crew module successfully pass the tests that if Gaganyaan crew module will be a step closer if it passes all the tests that were being conducted at the TBRL, that is the Terminal Ballistic Research Laboratory. And if these guys put it through its paces, and if it comes out with flying numbers and flying colors, as one puts it in a famous terminology related to exams, we'll be a step closer to our launch date. So that is a good news, right? Indian synergy, Indian industry synergy, meaning our companies helping one another to achieve their goals. As we know, the crew module is being developed by Hindustan Aeronautical Limited, and the Human Space Flight Center is responsible for implementation of Gaganyaan project. They are involved in all aspects of the planning. I think end-to-end mission planning is also their purview. They are responsible for developing of engineering systems for crew survival. The medicine aspect of it and the life support system are being developed by CNES with that is a French organization in tandem with ISRO. That was an agreement few days back. You can go and check my second or third episode in Akasavaartha series, where I went in detail about the CNES agreement with ISRO. And they have to develop all the crew selection is also purview of HSFC, Human Space Flight Center, the training associated activities, and they have it is pretty much HSFC is the nerve center of Gaganyaan mission in Isro. Now this understanding that was reached between Isro and Terminal Ballistic Laboratory is for conducting hyper velocity impact studies, and more than 50 tests are to be conducted under these agreements, right? Which means that they are going to evaluate all the critical components of the crew module. 50 tests is no small feat, right? Under this current memorandum of understanding between both the entities here, TBRL and HSFC, 50 tests are to be conducted to evaluate critical components of the crew module against MMOD impact. This is according to DRDO, so it is going to be an interesting thing how the results are going to come. Oh, interesting, man. Now, why are these MMOD studies needed? See, hypervelocity impact studies are a critical part in ensuring the safety of the crew, right? You need to ensure the safety of the crew. That is how you know whether the vehicle will withstand to impacts of small objects or particulate in space. Now, the threat posed by space debris is immense. We know how many precautions do astronauts in ISS take when the NASA people on ground at Houston come across a debris that they notice is either passing through International Space Station or in close proximity. I think recently NASA has asked all of its crew to suit up and occupy their designated return vehicles, so that if in case a small debris that they detected was passing close by the space station, if by chance hits space station, the crew can safely eject from the space station. I use the word space station so many times, but coming back to it, I'm sticking to it. I'm not dropping it. Now, these hypervelocity impacts, are critical for the success of Gaganyaan mission to protect our crew, because that is the most important aspect. The entire asset is the crew. Yeah, the vehicle is also important, but the crew is the important asset there. You have to ensure their safety. Now, the reason is space debris. We have been seeing a lot of space debris recently with the recent launches of many other things, with the ASAT tests of other countries. I again went into detail how China screwed up the ASAT test there. We are going to see our crew safe and secure if and when, or if in case, finger crossed, any micrometeoroid or space debris hit their vehicle. Now, the reason why the TBRL is chosen, because it is the only facility available in India that can achieve a velocity of more than 5,000 meters per second. Ouch! And that is what they are using to conduct the hypervelocity impact studies. Now, okay, that's a good news. Now let us move on to the next article. New eco-friendly process enhance fatigue life of aluminum alloy used in aerospace components. This is an interesting news in terms of metallurgy and metal alloys. Both are same, right? No. Okay, I'm sticking to metallurgy. So, Indian scientists have successfully developed an environmental friendly process which can provide excellent corrosion resistance to high strength aluminum alloys that are extensively used in aerospace, and the way by which these people achieved this technique or this process is and involves electrochemical method for the production of oxide film on the metallic substrate. High strength aluminum alloys are extensively used in aerospace We know that they are used in textiles also, and heavily used in automobile applications because of their low density and high specific strength. Most critical aspect in aerospace: high strength, low density, meaning lightweight. Now, they were susceptible to wear and tear and damages because of uh, everyday use, right? They are susceptible to corrosion, they are susceptible to fatigue in sense that they were stretched beyond their limits in terms of forces or whatnot. But nonetheless, they were susceptible to breakage or damage. Now, with this technique, they were able to improve the corrosion resistance of these alloys to a greater extent by a process called hard anodizing in an electrolyte based coating deposition. Now, the process is little bit complicated, but nonetheless, through this process, which they called as the micro arc oxidation MAO for shortly, which is the environmentally friendly process that was developed. See, the early process was called hard anodizing process, which used an electrolyte based coating deposition, and it was very toxic because of the chemicals that were used in this technique. Now, with this MAO technique, that is micro arc oxidation technique, it is environmentally friendly to achieve the same results, and this process was developed by International Advanced Research Center for Powder Metallurgy and New Materials. Moving on to the next article, ISRO is poised to assist development projects in northeastern states through space technology. In a first of its kind initiative, ISRO is going to be involved in mapping and sharing of data for developmental projects that are taking place in northeastern states. Now, as of now, currently ISRO is tracking and monitoring 67 projects that were geotagged at 21 locations in all states of Northeast. This project is being funded by Development of Northeastern Region Ministry, DONA. Now, this is going to be the first time that ISRO is transferring or whatever you call it into developmental phase, meaning it is going to assist states in monitoring their projects effectively using space technology. That is a welcome sign. It means that the technological capabilities of ISRO are becoming mainstream. They have already attained the mainstream status, but this is taking it to a whole new level. Moving on to the next article, ISRO will join hands with Ares to maximize utilization of data from India's first dedicated solar space mission, Aditya L1. Now, ISRO is in talks to develop a community service center, or it has already set up a community service center that will bring all onboard data from India's Aditya L1, that is India's dedicated solar space mission, Aditya L1. And they will develop a single web-based interface enabling users to access this data quickly and identify interesting scientific cases for further studies. This is according to a Ministry of Science and Technology readout. Now, what is the significance of this community service center? That too a web-based one. Now, the service center, which would be called as Aditya L1 Support Center, this is a joint effort between Aryabhatta Research Institute of Observational Sciences and Indian Space Research Organization, which would be used by guest observers to analyze the data that was being. That's all for this episode, guys. Thank you for listening to Akasavaartha bi-weekly. Please expect a new episode every 2 weeks. Please do subscribe and follow me on Twitter. Thank you. Namaste.